Okay, so we ended with the process diagrams that are swim lane diagrams at the end of last week. So we're going to do a lab today. This is one of the diagrams that we stopped with. There's 3 of them that were shown here. This is taking the lanes and laying them out horizontally, so we'll do it horizontally as opposed to this one, which is vertically. The main point of the swim lane diagrams is what?
It's showing which area has a responsibility or accountability for whatever that product is, or that detail of work, that task.
Yeah, so it's showing literally taking what you said and just revising the word slightly, showing which business function has that particular activity / task as their responsibility. So the boxes are the activities or tasks, one could say. The diamonds are the checkpoints. So it also shows who owns the decision making. Because the checkpoints are always like a decision. Doing this or not? Rejecting, ending the process, or continuing on. And so that's the motion of these here. And if you go to Visio, all right, so what you want to type in here in order to find where the swim lane diagram is, you got to type in BPMN. So we went over the acronym slightly last week, but maybe not with the end part. It's where just MITS. Yeah. So you bring up Visio, put in BPMN. And hit enter, and you get this one icon that shows up here, and just click on it, or double click, whichever one.
I'm still uploading.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm logging in too.
Let's see here. We'll do an item on the whiteboard in just a moment. So let's see, BPM. So they changed this slightly. I want to do. Okay, this is interesting. You guys see it's great function. Used to be only one tile here, or actually no tile. All right, so let me take a good guess that I want swim lanes, and this should suffice right here. All right, so let me just, I guess I can click on this and see what each one is. I want gateways. So does this one not have gateways? What is this? So you don't need this one, I know. How can it not include gateways? I'm going to assume this includes gateways. So let me just do a quick check here. Yeah, the gateways are there. I thought that would be there. All right, so this is one way to come in, and it'll default it and make it pretty and all that. Let me just see what the difference is with regard to coming in with a blank one. Let's see, file, do BPMN again. Just come in with a blank one. Yeah, let's stick with the blank one. The color washes off pretty bad, that red. All right, so I'm going to cut over to the whiteboard, and what we're going to be doing is a little bit of work on the whiteboard to just say, okay, so what does HR talent acquisition look like in terms of what are the business functions involved, and the tasks, and these gateway decision points. So let me move this over to the whiteboard. My machine's coming up. We're getting on Visio. We'll be able to cover the whiteboard aspects here. All right, so think about it for a moment. HR talent acquisition. So what are the business functions involved with HR talent acquisition?
Well, we can.
Or just if you were to talk about the entire process, think of it almost in the sense of a use case diagram. Just who are the participants in terms of roles with regard to talent acquisition?
You would have maybe your talent pool can come from colleges or job fairs, and I don't know, external recruiters.
Right. So that's where they can come from, and there's the connecting agents are the external or internal recruiters.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the purpose of this, let's focus on the individuals in the pool. So we're going to have an individual that's a candidate.
Where you're gonna have your sponsors.
Sponsor meaning?
That could be your stakeholders. And that could be your HR manager.
Right. Okay. So we have HR is involved with this, and we can say HR management. All right, so that the obvious thing too is that there's an HR talent acquisition person. Talent acquisition is the name that is used these days.
You're gonna need your technical support or technical managers or manager involved.
So what tasks or roles would that person have?
Where they're gonna have the roles of the hardware and the software.
But we're not creating the system. Okay, we're doing the swim lane diagram for the steps to do the hiring.
Okay.
So this is what is the business model? What does the swim lane diagram look like from the point of the candidate as well as the HR talent acquisition person? So there's one other person though involved with this who initiates the need for the job.
Doesn't the manager, let's say if it's a IT manager, he opens up a job requisition because he wants to expand his staff.
Yep, so there you get a candidate, and let's put the hiring manager in here. The hiring manager kicks it off. And then we have HR talent acquisition. Let's see, talent. So that's reason we're right. Talent acquisition. All right. Now, what are the tasks then? Just so we put some boundaries around this. So we've got 3 lanes that we're starting off here. We've got the candidate lane, and I should probably move this down a little bit further just so I'm to the right. We've got HR management, and we have the hiring management, and we have HR talent acquisition. So think of these as business functions. So hiring manager for any business unit. Doesn't matter what the business unit is. Okay. We got a candidate that's going to show up. So as we walk through this, what are the actions then? The activities?
I would say things start off with the hiring manager, where he opens up a job requisition.
Mm-hmm. So opens a job rec, and we're just going to sketch in a couple of these and then go straight into Visio. So opens up job rec. Right. And this is the starting point. That's just because my board is small here. I'll put this down here, but the starting point is here. So go like that. So what happens in terms of the job rec? And this is an important part because we want to be able to not throw in every single minute detail here.
because the idea is to get into just understanding, okay, what can you reasonably put together onto a swim lane diagram? So we don't want to cover every minute detail.
So would a notification go out to the HR talent acquisition?
So what usually happens down this way? So there's opening a job rec. Does the hiring manager have the authority to just open it and initiate the progress, or is there an approval step needed?
I guess that a person's boss has to approve it.
Yeah, there's going to be some internal review. So let's assume internal review just happens within this context of the activity. But there has to be some type of acceptance on the part of HR. So
Are we already taking into account that it has been approved for the budget too? Or is this where we're gonna go with that?
this is where HR can say, okay, are we actually going to spend the money on it or not? So there's an approval step in here. Or we just go straight down to here. And if it's accepted, there would be a yes that goes over here. And then the question is, let's just take the yes path first. Marker in the right position. There we go. All right, so there's an acceptance, yes. So what's the next activity after that? Is it activity here or here? Yeah, obviously it's not quite in the candidate arena yet, but
Isn't there like a job posting activity, probably in their internal website, and also possibly on Dice or Indeed or LinkedIn?
All right, so there's going to be a job posting, and that's going to get done by this. Let's see, so post job. So would you go straight from here to here? Any involvement with the hiring manager?
I would think that you would go back to the hiring manager and also get job description.
Okay. So basically say, tell us what you want. Because we're not going to post it until you tell us more exactly what you want.
Okay, but what would be included on the job requisition? Would that just give you a high level that we're looking for another employee to hire in our department, and then it would be for this title? But I don't know what a job requisition consists of, so I don't know if the details are already on there.
It could vary from company to company, so we can make whatever assumptions we want at this point. If we want to flip it back here and say, okay, you got the rec, we can do the budget on that. And flip it up here. And this would be create job description. Okay, and then
Would a line go from?
Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I see it's just gonna come down and go back up. That's how the manager is notified that it's been approved.
Yeah, exactly. This is the notification. It's like, go ahead and create the job description.
Okay.
So if we say, if the answer is no, it's going to stop right there. This is a termination point.
So in that no is that's what I was going to say, how you notify the manager. Okay, there you go.
And this is a revise. So you could have a yes, you could have a revise, or you could have no, or you kill it.
Okay.
All right, so as we work our way through this, then we've got a job posted. So that goes out on the company's website. Indeed, and all these others pick it up because they have web scrapers that just grab all the latest job postings and harvest what's there and make it available. All right, so what happens after the job posting? I'm just gonna slide this over a little bit.
The posting will then be connected to the candidate through whatever means that you're using, whatever marketing means you're using.
Okay, so post job. So that, here we have a candidate who's doing searching then. Okay. This is job search. We gotta find. Okay, so what does a candidate do in order to move this along?
He clicks the apply button.
Right, exactly. So there's some job search activity going on here.
Yeah.
This is the apply. And what happens after the apply?
Then I think it drops back down to the HR talent acquisition to see if he meets the criteria.
Right, so there's some vetting that happens down here.
But wait a
There's
minute,
actually two forms of vetting, but go ahead.
that software will probably do the validation if he qualifies before it gets back to the HR manager. So wouldn't we have a system in here? And not a human, but a system per se?
So right, so there's two aspects in here. If it's a fully automated step that the system itself does, then we put that in here. If it's a step that where a person is using a system, then we tend to focus on the
The
person.
person? Okay.
So, but to your point, there is automated vetting right here that happens in the HR arena. So this is the computer vet.
That nice little thing.
Right, I think this is what you're referring to.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So whatever algorithms or rules are configured into this,
Yeah.
keywords, gotta get past the keywords filter. All right. So computer vetting. So from here, this is, this is really going to result in a decision. I know I made this be a activity, but decisions points are just as much activity, and I just need a little bit more room here. Just call auto vetting. All right, so you go down there. Here we have a no. Let's just assume that that's another termination point. We have a yes. Okay, now over here, we have the human vetting. So when we do the human vetting though, when the HR person is doing the human vetting, what are they really doing? They're
Qualifying the candidates.
yeah,
They're
so then it's plural, right?
Candidate.
Well,
Or
candidate.
candidates.
Candidates is the right way to look at it. So there's multiple candidates that have gone in here. So you want to get a pool of candidates available, or maybe if it's urgent, you just take the first one and boom, they're in because they needed to get hired yesterday. Okay, so this is the this is really the proposed candidate pool or candidate list, let's just say.
So you have two N's in here?
And an N right there, you mean?
Right.
Yeah, you can terminate at any point along the way.
So there's not just a one start and a one end. You can have multiple ends.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I thought it was always just one end and one start.
No, the one start, but multiple ends.
Okay.
One or more ends. And
Well, that makes it a little easier.
Okay, so there's proposed candidate list. So what's going to be the next step here?
Interviews.
Then it goes back to the business unit.
It's going to potentially go into interviews. But the first step before doing the interviewing,
The hiring manager has to look at who's made it that far as
exactly. Okay, so here, because this is just propose the candidate list, and this here is going to be, vet the candidate list. This person is going to apply its own filters, that candidate list. And then from there, it'll go back to, and here's where it varies from company to company. I'd say about 60 to 80% of the companies have HR set up the interviews. I've done interviews, I've gone in as the person being interviewed, where it's the hiring manager that got it all set up. Usually it's the talent acquisition team that does it. So that candidate list, and what we get out of that goes back down here to schedule interviews. Okay. So what happens after schedule interviews?
And you contact the, yeah, you gotta contact the candidate in here somewhere with this before you can schedule it.
Okay.
So when you contact that candidate first, then schedule the interview that you're interested in seeing them?
So schedule interviews, so we maybe make that a little bit narrower. This is be more proposed interviews.
Because you want to contact that candidate somewhere in here.
Right.
Should we call it like express interest?
So this propose is fine. We did propose candidate list, propose interview, schedule. Okay. And up here, we have a proposed interview schedule. So up here, it would be, that there's some negotiation that happens here. We'll just say confirm, let's say.
Confirm an interview.
Yeah, confirm interview schedule. So it goes up here, and then the interview process kicks in. And this is where we'll finish it up in Visio. But when the interview process kicks in, what's the, there's a lot of steps during that 4 hours block of time. So we don't need to articulate the steps. It's like schedule means you're meeting with Mary at 9 a.m., meeting with Marjorie at 10 a.m., meeting with Ralph and Raja at 11 a.m., whatever it is, and then go out to lunch, whatever it's going to be. So there's some type of confirmed interview schedule, meaning that this is for candidates going to be available on that date. And then there's a conduct interview. So conduct interview includes this person, obviously, but it centers on the staff associated with the hiring manager. So let's just put conduct interview over here. So some time passes. What happens after the interview is done?
Just thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right. Okay, so here we go into this diamond. And they're doing this thumbs up, thumbs down, meaning do we want to make an offer? Okay, so offer the position, question mark. And there's a a yes that goes out here, or there's a no that goes out here. So at this point, it's over right there.
And that's why I'm here.
Yep. Well, get it down to the US path there. Exactly. All right, so there's offer extended, yes. Now here's the interesting part, and this is where I'm gonna run out of room. So at this point, there's offer, and the offer usually comes in terms of a formal writing proposal. So, and I drew this a little bit too quick because HR makes the formal proposal. So HR actually takes care of the communication path completely. Let's see, so if we're gonna be perfectly accurate about this, because the candidate's never told by the interview team. It's told, the person's told by HR. The marker in the right position, okay.
I have space.
Yeah, I did too, I got to write on the wall pretty soon.
Continued at the bottom.
So, so here the offer is going to be, and this is a little bit tricky because the lines cross over. But I'm just going to say no down here, and then notify candidate. So we don't even do that anymore, it seems, but so it's going to notify candidate, and it ends right there. And it might be easier to just show the endpoint down here. So, you know, it should be this way, but we get our lines all crossed up, so I'm not going to worry about the details. All right, so offer, no. Offer, yes. This is propose offer. Okay, and then it goes up here. And then here's the key thing, negotiate offer. Okay, so this person can either accept or reject the offer. So we don't have enough room to put this in here, but we need another diamond in there. Because the candidate can terminate it and say, I don't want it. Or the hiring manager can terminate it and say, I don't want it. Okay. But the whole point of negotiating the offer is that, I'll use an example I had in the mid-90s. I left Motorola, I was working in their two-way radio systems from 89 to 95, I think it was. I left and went to Siemens Nuclear Medicine Group for 2 years. And then the project, they decided to can the project. They made a really bad mistake at Siemens. They had taken a really good physicist and made him the engineering manager for this brand new product, ground floor up platform and everything. And he's a great physicist, but he didn't know how to put together a new platform at all from an engineering perspective. So the project failed. Okay. So I thought I was catching them in their upswing, but they still had another step down that they were taking. So I was like, okay, I think I'm done here. All right, and my objective was to get out of research and development processes and stuff like that. I wanted to get my hands dirty with the project. So my objective was fulfilled in the 2 years I was over there. So I was like, okay, this is good. Now I can go to the next step. So the next step was going back to Motorola, as it wound up being, because there was a new product that was getting started up there. It would build on the experience I developed over at Siemens Nuclear Medicine Group. Right. So, but part of the deal was in the negotiation. So we did the interview stuff and we did some negotiation, and I was like, well, and it was a really good group to go in, a really good group of people. So Roger was the manager, the hiring manager. So the negotiation with Roger was like, okay, Roger, I'll come back, but I need 2 conditions met, okay? Reinstate all of my seniority, which I know he doesn't have the authority to do. HR would have to do that. reinstate all of my seniority because Motorola's policy is there's automatic reinstatement of seniority after if you come back within 1 year. So I was like, well, I'm 2 years out, so I still want. And then the second thing, we're going to start with 3 weeks of vacation, not 2 weeks. Okay. So yeah, so he talked to the HR, got that worked out and all. And then the salary stuff was comparable, was decent. So they basically matched my terms. Yeah, that was it. So
now I was in a situation, and this was kind of bizarre. I had someone working on this HR side, and they needed a developer within FIS, and they actually said, well, Mike, do you want this position because it's open? And then I said, yeah. And so they said, apply for it. And I applied for it internally. And then they said, oh, we didn't know, but HR, another part of HR had extended an offer to somebody else internal in the company. So it threw me for a loop. And I said, why would you ask me to apply for this position? Because it was like a week that I'm like seriously thinking. I said, okay, I'm all in. And then they said, oh, we already hired someone, but we didn't know.
That's why swim lane diagrams are good. Yeah. And somewhere in there, the process broke.
Yeah.
And if they looked at their swim lane diagram, what they're supposed to do, the supposed to do probably doesn't match the reality of what they actually do.
Yeah.
That's what happens a lot of times. Is people try to imagine, oh, this is what happens. And they just assume that's what happens because this other department that provides this communication or updates something, or the system updates and notifies people, and it just gets missed.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect example of why some of the diagrams are used. It's like you take that drawing around and say, okay, is this what we're agreeing to?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Then if the answer is yes, then you got to make sure that the requirements, this is a key thing, because this is the requirements elicitation type tool, really. Because what we'd be doing is say, okay, this is the way it works now. Now let's adjust the diagram and show what's got to be changed in the future on the project. And the project's going to the adjustments to the IT system software in order to make sure that process is in reality supported by the software system.
Now in that type of situation where you're making tweaks or enhancements, does Visio allow you to highlight the process that you're changing? Kind of like with Word, you can actually have changes and you see the spot it's crossed out, and you actually see what was there before and what you added. Now with Visio, does it allow you to actually highlight that this is state 0, current state, and then this part was new as far as the changes that are being done? Or is it just a new diagram and you just have to print out the old diagrams that this was the old?
It's more than new.
Okay.
Print out the new diagram.
Okay.
And you might want to use some color notation
Oh,
on the
okay.
new diagram so that the changes,
Okay, stand out.
yeah, will stand out. Okay. So let's take a look through Visio here now. I'm going to use this one that has drawing 2.
Now, how did you get that template again?
Let's go back to share here. All right, so let me close out of these 2. So under here, type in BPMN, it's business process management, and then the N is kind of like an add-on notation right after that. And hit return. It'll come up on the diagram, and just grab the blank one The gradient color was pretty dark on the red. I'm not sure it's going to display well on my screen. So we'll just go with the blank one.
I'm actually coming up with one, which is the one over to your right upper.
Yeah, this guy over here.
Yes.
So if you want to start with that, that's fine. It'll be pretty colors. If I do simple black and white, it'll show up better on the overhead screen. So that you're going to have the same tool bar over here, regardless of which document you bring up. Okay. All right, so with Visio, the idea is drag and drop, but we want to start with our lanes first. So we set up our lanes, put one up here, and the idea is that when you drop something, type right after that. So I can say candidate, let's see, guess we gotta go to other text. There we go. Candidate. I'll make my text bigger so it's visible. Let's see, I think. All right, so throw a candidate lane in here, a little bit of space. Underneath it, now if you go up too tight, it's going to combine these lanes together. So give yourself a little bit of space in between. Otherwise, it's going to treat it as two different roles within the same lane, so to speak. So I go over here and make this be the hiring manager, technically the business unit, but those are interchangeable terms. Add another lane. Bigger. So this one gets a little bit busy. So I'll make it a little bit wider too. Close enough. All right, so the different symbols that we have here are the task, gateway, and event. There's intermediate events that are allowed as well. Start event. There's the idea here of expanded sub-process and collapsed sub-process. We're not going to get into those, but those are available. The idea there is that you could do a very high level swim lane diagram and then break just one activity on the high level swim lane diagram into its own swim lane diagram. It's the idea of nesting in terms of layers from a high level summary down to details is possible. I've talked with, there's been two other individuals. One whose statement was, I know Visio can do that, but we never do that in our business. And this is a person that was very familiar and had done quite a few swim lane diagrams as part of the business analyst requirements, solicitation, documentation activities. She said, we never did the class expand stuff because it confused people too quickly. So they got another person in a different class that said, oh yeah, we do the class expand stuff. So just, it depends on what the comfort level really is of people in the organization, whether they're going to use the collapse expand or not. But if we go down to the bottom right here, can add additional sheets, just like in Excel. So if I just hit the plus sign, that's adding page 2, there's page 3, and I'm back on page 1. So you can do a model and have the class expand work off such that we put a complex activity here for HR talent acquisition. Like maybe we want to actually work out this entire, where was it, proposed interview schedule. Maybe we actually want to break that down into 5 or 6 different activities and put that breakdown into a separate tab. So it could be like the page 2 tab. So we could rename this to just say inflow. And largely for the sake of time, I don't, we just dance into this quickly and just show what the capabilities are. We could rename this to be interview schedule details. Okay. On this page 3, I can technically get rid of it. So I'm right-clicking on the tab in order to change the names here. Okay. All right, so we've got a sheet. Let me zoom in now. Let's see. To go a little bit higher. Look at the actual size. Okay, a little bit smaller than that. For some reason, I drag this over and it looks like, okay, it's lined up, then it doesn't want to stay in position. So I'm not going to worry about the details there. This is the first time it doesn't line up.
You're trying to get the pull lanes to line up?
I'd like to get the left edge to all line up. So.
Because I got mine lined up there.
Yeah, mine are always lined up. I don't know why mine's not lined up. Mine always look like
I actually had to move the whole box instead of trying to move the end of it and then shorten it from the right.
Yeah, and this is what I'm doing, is moving the whole box so I can see that it's changed and it's lined up. But when I let go of it, it doesn't
move because it's extended out on this side. I'll pull that in, now try to move it over.
Let's see what happens. Okay, I got it lined up. Then this one got really annoying that it got slowed.
That's because the font is much larger too.
I must have gone, oh, 18 is what I wanted to put in here. I put it 24, so. Whether it'll auto-correct on that, I don't know. Supposed to be 18. Okay, now it's reasonable. Okay, so if we take what was on the whiteboard, take that image, got a starting point, so the start event can be over in this space. Now, one thing working with Visio is if you just put your cursor over an object, in this case it's the start object, you'll notice there's these really faint north, south, east, and west arrows. Mm-hmm. So if I just move my mouse, not clicking or anything, if I just move my mouse down towards the south arrow, I can add a box in there quickly. And this box is selected, so we had set here, this would be open job rec. Just job requisition, that's what that stands for. And I'll just leave that on 18, 16, sorry. I'll go a little smaller here. 16 is still visible, 14, actually, it's okay still. I'll do mine at 14. All right, so open job rec, we said, then goes down. All right, now here's where you can't use this nice convenience. Because if I go add another object, like, hey, okay, I want to do the gateway decision here. If I try to add the gateway decision, it'll add within that lane. Okay. So I don't want it within the lane. So I've got to go over here and put the gateway in place within the lane and say, accept is what we wanted to call this. For me, I'm putting mine at 14 point. All right. So with the accept, Microsoft and its infinite wisdom is resizing and repositioning stuff on me, so it's one of the things I can't stand about Microsoft products. All right, so we've got accept right here, and we've said there's a revise loop that comes back into this. So sequence flow, again, take the sequence flow, and here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Point the sequence flow to where I want the arrow, the connector to start, and then I take the other end and move it up to the destination object. So I got to do that the other way around, so the arrowhead winds up on the right end. Because you can't go in here and reformat the connector, or actually format shape. Let's see. Fill, shadow. Yeah, that I looked a while ago, but you can't. You gotta start this from where you want it to, from the first object, and then take and point it down to the second object. So the arrowhead is up here. So you start with where you want the arrow to end, not with where you want it to start. And then if you select the arrow, you can say, you can type and put a label on that arrow. So I put in the word revise right here. That was what we said that particular action or decision was. I'll leave these on a 12-point text. And you can rotate the text, etc. But and you can take this label and move it off to the side if you want to. All right, so it said accept has 3 different outputs. No would be another one. And if I go over here on accept and just position my mouse just for a moment over there, there's different outputs that I can identify. These are all, let's see, this one's intermediate. I think this is the exit, yeah. And again, I can just select the arrow and type on it and say no. Take the arrow in, and because I'm going across, I want to show where it ends, so actually I don't have another object there yet. I want to go to create job description is what we said on the whiteboard.
So here I can do copy and paste since I already have my font set the way I like it. This is a new task. Job description. Connect those. Say yes is the answer. All right, if I don't like the arrows getting broken up as it is right here, this is where I work with the tools. I remember the right one for this. I think you've got to put a separate box in there. If you don't want the arrow broken by the label that's on the arrow, then you got to put in a separate text box. So you can insert a text box over here. I could say yes over here instead.
Will it matter, is question just a person's liking, if they want to use it there or not?
Exactly, just personal preference really. I don't know how to get the text out of there once it's in there, so I'd have to redraw the arrow. All right, so two different ways to do the labeling on the arrows. So it's a great job description. Paste to make it quick. Post job description. Search jobs. And then using that north, south, east, west arrows, you can quickly add in here the apply. It never gives the, it never really helps all that much because I like my point size a little bit larger.
Perfect. So everybody's quiet. What's the sound? That usually means it's going good. Running into any obstacles?
I guess the fear that I would have is what I do if it was more involved, because I'm wondering if this went further to the right, how is that handled?
That's where you get into this collapse and span
Oh,
or change your sheet size.
Yeah, it just goes to the next sheet.
So you have like on this flow, you can have sheet 1 and 2.
It actually creates the next sheet.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. Mine is done. I got it on my sheet.
Okay. So here you can freelance how you want this to end. There's a couple right ways to end this. It just depends on how they do their work at the business.
Now for my proposed offer, oh, I see. I wanted to stretch out the right side of the swim lane, so I get it. I figured it out. Okay.
I'm giving more emphasis to the negotiation part here. What I usually do.
Yes, part.
That extra arrow came up there. Okay, now I got my line. Oh, it's because I drew it in backwards. Okay. So. Alright, so this is we had the whiteboard portion, and then we had this other portion. We got some extra items in here. And actually, this isn't an activity here. This is an endpoint. Technically, if I make this start job be a little bit more interesting, I can put what the orientation, all the other details are starting the job. And that would be a good example of a process that could be collapsed and then represented into another sheet where it's expanded. In this, the interview activity, that would be an example of something that could be expanded off into another sheet as well. And we're just keeping things straightforward here. So I usually don't work with the expanded and collapsed stuff very much. But this should actually be an end. So if I wanted to expand it, I would leave it as this. And then the flow just keeps going. But at some point, I need to be able to say, okay, it's done. All of the terminations right now are negative terminations. I mean, all of the endpoints right now are negative. Okay, so that we've got 4 different endpoints here, and we wind up with start job. So if I don't want to expand on this, I could say, wait a minute, start job was the wrong symbol. I didn't want that symbol. And there was no, from what I can tell, from what other people who use Visio told me, there is no ability to change all the shapes exactly. I can label this last termination point as start job. And just show that.
Now, would you recommend to have it this way for the start job, just having that endpoint, or have it as one of these, what do we call this, task boxes?
It totally depends on whether there's interest in making sure that the start job is, I would personally terminate it this way, because it's enough information in one place, and people, I think, do better cognitively if they can see, okay, here's the start and there's the positive end. So I'm putting a separate text box in here to label the start job. I don't like the way Microsoft Visio is labeling this in terms of positioning the title. Let's see. Okay, so I've got mine set now the way I like it. Yeah, take my guesses and put those on here a little bit. Yes. I don't like where it wants to position it, so do the manual yes instead. Okay, so. Let's see if I can zoom this so that it's all fairly visible. Yep. Okay. Good enough?
I do want to print what I, what I
save it?
put to, yeah.
Okay. So the, let's see. So do the save. This PC, you can put it under documents, put your name onto it. I got a folder under documents that I think has my name, so I've got a specific spot I'm going to put it. You could put yours directly under.
Or you don't have like a printer hooked up?
Yeah, well, I don't know if the printer's hooked up to the other
Oh.
machines. You can generate a PDF though.
Oh.
So let's save the drawing and then save the PDF of it. So you have both. And I can print out your PDFs if your machine doesn't have access. Most of the, I know for Schaumburg and don't know for Kearney and for your whether there's access.
And under documents, do I use one of these subfolders? Yeah, business analysis, or should I leave it on?
Just, you can create your own, put a file with your name in it, and that'll be best. If you do a save as PDF. Then it'll generate the entire PDF for you. It looks like it generated it onto one page. Just print this, see how it looks. So if you come into print and it says Canon MF 4800, then you can print it. Otherwise, you'll have to email the PDF to yourself, or just email it to me and I can print it for you.
Or if you have a OneDrive account, save it on that.
Exactly. Put it on a Google Drive or OneDrive. So I have a separate tab created in here. So it's going to give me a blank side because I'm not using the second tab. So go up there briefly. Delete the second tab. Control as, file and save as PDF.
I printed it to the Canon, so,
Okay, so you did have access to it.
but I don't know if it's. status is. Zero documents. Would the printer be in Paul's office?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the one right there.
Anybody else have?
I'm probably gonna go to them and see if I could also save it, make sure it's on there. It's telling me that it's uploading to OneDrive. It worked for you?
It's a little bit. I would just have to use some Scotch tape.
Did you save it as a PDF?
Yeah, I also have it as a PDF. This was printing it from Vizio. Right.
It looks like, the PDF, I've never tried printing a PDF, but usually PDF gives you a little bit more real estate to work with. I'll just try landscape straight on and see what happens. Under Vizio, you should be able to go to page setup and auto adjust it.
Okay, I just tried the PDF. Let me see.
Okay.
The PDF